Hello and welcome to the special edition of the Under Centre podcast. I'm your host, of course, Darren Marr, joined by the Malloy brothers, Reen and Fionn. Lads, as always, it's great to have you on.
Wonderful to be back, Dara. I'm glad you haven't fired us yet.
Yeah, for me, same shit, different shovel, but at least we're 1 week closer to football, so I'm happy.
Yeah, because it is game week, and that's the important thing, and that's why we're having this show today, because we are going to do a North Dublin Pirates 2023 season preview, and we thought who better to have on the show than our very own head coach, Ross Neville. Ross, how are you? It's very weird to call you Ross and Neville and not call you coach for that introduction, so that's the only time I'm going to say it.
Thank God, because that was weird. Great to be here. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Absolutely. And I'm sure it's weird to call me by Dara and not gobshite normally than you do a training, or when you move gobshite.
You actually run.
Like I said, worst part of my day is the warm-ups. It's never going to change.
This is true.
Apart from the new warm-ups, actually. I do like those new warm-ups.
Yeah.
How would you know? You haven't arrived on time for them at all.
We need to get on to Adam to make them more strenuous, I think, if they're better than the ones we had previously.
No, they're just that bit quicker, and Dara can see them as he's walking across the fields to get himself ready.
More obvious from the car. He knows
Exactly.
when to get out of the car when he sees them go on the two lines.
Exactly.
I used to be able to see that. I can't anymore now. I just have to take a chance.
Yeah.
And now recently it hasn't worked. So
no.
I'm being made to move, which is not great. But hey, look, I still get the job done, and that's the main thing.
Exactly.
But look, listen, enough about my lack of fitness, because everyone's going to see that now on Sunday, so you don't have to worry about that, talking about that for too much longer. Coach, before we get into 2023, let's have a chat about 2022. Difficult season, not just for, the team personally, probably from a lot of teams league-wide, but we sort of felt the pinch a little bit here with the first season just coming out of COVID. But sort of your own sort of brief overview of how you felt the 2022 season went.
Yeah, absolutely. A difficult season is an understatement. It reminded me a lot of our first season and a half, maybe, when we first formed. When numbers were low, people were having to play in multiple positions, and numbers at training weren't what they needed to be. So we weren't able to execute proper schemes, go up 11 on 11 or even 8 on 8 at times was a struggle. So last year, coming out of COVID, that really affected us majorly. We lost, I think it was about 12 players at the end of the last season we played football to the start of the season last year. And basically, we had a quick turnaround between, right, lads, you now have the opportunity to play football and to get ourselves sorted. So it was really against us from the get-go, whereas the northern teams had a bit more leeway with regards to restrictions that were in place up there, and them being able to take part in the Donaghy Cup meant that football was fresh, and they were able to go out, recruit, and plan and put together some really good squads and played some really good football last year. Unfortunately for us, just the nature of the beast, COVID down here was still quite rampant, and there was a bit of concern from some of our guys, and as such, we struggled with numbers. I think our saving grace was the Bulldogs, Meath Bulldogs, being in the same boat as us last year, and I think we were blessed to get down about 4 or 5 of those guys to just bump up the numbers that we had.
I think that's a good point as well. It's a good juxtaposition of what a really tough season can do. So yeah, we didn't get to finish the season like we hoped, and I think we played a couple of competitive games when we did have players. There was a couple that then got away from us, or that we had to claw ourselves back into and kind of stop the floodgates a little bit. But when you look at the alternative, and that is unfortunately where the Meath Bulldogs are at the moment, they're not necessarily completely dead. Never say never, but the fact that the team ceased to play completely, and most of the players came and joined us, I think it's worth bearing in mind when, look, it's hard for us, coach. Me and Ryan have been around since the very early days of the Pirates. We remember what it was like in those first seasons. So for us, a tough year of football is always better than no football at all. And when you see teams starting to fold and really struggle, teams much bigger than us, okay, it was disappointing for us, the guys on the committee, even the league, I'd say, was disappointed. They're trying to show that the teams are strong and can compete week in and week out and try and build a brand recently in the last couple of years. So it helps when teams can stay alive and people can get used to seeing names popping up on Instagram. So I think that's, if there was any silver lining to take out of it, there was a couple of rookies that got blooded in, and I think the alternative to not being able to play any games was probably that the future of the club would really be in question. And I think we managed to make it through last year really well. So for me, that was the big thing to take away.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, sorry, Rick.
You mentioned.
Go on.
No, Fionn mentioned the rookies there. It wasn't even like we had a weak rookie class that year. I think we had, 6 rookies, which is pretty much on par for what we've had our entire history of the club. So it's not even like we had. It just goes to show how much that pandemic affected the numbers in the club. So, yeah, look, moving forward, we have another strong rookie class coming in this year, and everything is looking up, as Fionn said.
But just going back to last season, when we did compete in games, we were there or thereabouts. We were very unfortunate with injuries. And with our low numbers as it was, those injuries really killed us. You know, there wasn't a game where we didn't have at least one serious injury. And it just goes to show that depth in the squad makes all the difference, especially when you have Patrick Byrne having to play running back when he can barely run 5 yards down the field. We love you, really, Paddy.
How many name drops did you promise, Paddy, in this show now tonight?
Just two.
Just two. Okay.
Just two.
All right. I'm gonna bet.
I'll be honest with you. I don't think he listens.
I'm betting the over.
At all.
He doesn't.
No.
Sure, he barely listens to me at training, let alone come on and listen to me talk about him.
Exactly.
That's true. That's true. But look, that's the young coach mentality. You're the veteran coach. You have to.
Oh, absolutely.
You got to put him right. You did a little bit on Sunday as well. I think you scared the life out of him a little bit.
He didn't listen to me when he was a player. He's hardly going to start now as a coach.
But like that, you're not just a coach. You're obviously the founder of the club as well. And for anyone that doesn't know, like, tell us a little bit about your sort of history with American football in Ireland.
How long is the show again? So basically, back in the early 2000s, I lived in San Francisco for a while, playing semi-pro soccer. And one of the perks of living out there was being immersed in the football culture over there. And I was blessed that after winning one of the Californian Cups, we ended up going to one of the open training camps for the San Francisco 49ers. And that just started my love affair with American football. So much so that on one of the days walking home from one of the games, I found a broken down TV on the side of the road. And we got it. It was black and white, but we got it working, and we got to see all of the preseason games that year on this little, no bigger than a laptop screen in black and white, but just a straight up love affair. So I came home, found a team called the North Dublin Marshals, and went training with them in the Phoenix Park. Got my start as a solid 6'4", 180-pound left tackle. And just loved it from there. Unfortunately, work got in the way, and I stepped away from the game for a number of years. And throughout that time, the kind of lay of the land of teams across the country had majorly changed. And it wasn't until 2011 when I got married that my wife's cousin was part of a team up in Drogheda. She was their sports therapist. And she said, "Oh, I remember you saying that you liked American football. You should come down." So it's only a few minutes down the road from me. So up I went and played a couple of seasons there. And then got my feet wet with coaching their youth team. We took part in the first ever youth blitz up in Craigavon with us, the Cowboys, and for the love of me, I can't think of who the other team was, but that was a real good learning experience. And then obviously there were a few issues inside the club that resulted in the Loud Mavericks being formed. And so I took on a role behind the scenes on the committee, and also I stepped up to take on a more prominent role on the coaching staff. And then unfortunately I ended up being the head coach by default. And again, similar to how some of the clubs have been since COVID, we didn't get the numbers at training, so made the hard decision to fold the club. So then my footballing journey took me to up to Derry and to our good friends up at the Vipers, and helped them out their first year. Took some nice early morning 3-hour drives up from the house up to Derry to help with training and go to some of their games. So they kind of maintained my appetite and love for the sport in the country. So then myself and Fergal Waters, an ex teammate of mine at Drogheda Lightning, we decided that we'd start our own team, and we moved further south from Drogheda down to North County Dublin, in and around the Swords area, and that's where I met these two Malloy boys and two of the original OGs. We've just built on it from there.
I totally forgot you used to coach up in Derry. Like, that's just, or Donegal even. That's just an outrageous trek just to do a bit of training.
Yeah, it's crazy, but that just goes to show the passion I have for the sport, especially in this country. So a couple of years ago, I was even on the AFI board, and I was one of the champions for Division 2, and making sure that new teams and developing teams had the opportunity to play at a level that they were comfortable with, to help them build as a club and develop their squads and their styles of play without being given drubbings every week. And it becomes very disheartening when you lose week in, week out by big scores against the more established and well-drilled teams. So that was one of the main things that on the board that I championed for, and a couple of other new team initiatives as well. So quite proud of my input on the board, and I've always been a sounding board for them as well. With the last year, with the league trying to restructure again to ensure football was played, with the amount of forfeits that took place last year, ourselves, the Eagles, Trinity, and then with the cost of living crisis that we were very much in the midst of just before Christmas, and coming out not so much coming out of it, but still within it. I championed still for a Division 2, because at the end of the day, we didn't forfeit due to costs. Like, we still could have made the journeys up to Belfast, up to the Mavericks whatever. I think we had to forfeit 2 home games as well, which were on our doorstep. So, at the end of the day, we felt that we still needed the Division 2 and to future-proof it as well for any new teams coming in, and to maintain the integrity of the league while still building the brand of AFI.
Well, look, it looks like it certainly.
Go in.
It looks like it certainly worked, because we saw the scoreline of the game last week between Trinity, who have dropped down from Division 1, versus the Giants, who are always in Division 2. And that looked to be a very tight game. So it looks like this initiative of having this Division 2 where teams can grow and develop has paid off. Obviously, it's early days yet, but it's looking very much like we're going to have a very competitive division down in Division 2. Absolutely.
And when you think about it, both teams had similar squad sizes. And I think one of the main issues Trinity had last year was maintaining that squad size after exams. So for them to make a start with decent numbers is positive for them and for this division as well.
So it's so important as well, especially when you're trying to grow a league and new teams are joining. It's so strange to have teams in good financial standing that just can't get the players, and it's important to have that kind of petri dish, I guess, to let those teams grow that are stable. They just need a chance to get the numbers in and find a way to claw through and scrape games together. Sure, there might be a little bit more games postponed or cancelled than maybe us or the league would like. Obviously, we'd love everybody to play, but you need to give them that chance, especially when the finances are good. Normally, that's the killer for teams where you've got enough bodies and just not enough guys paying subs or poor management of the funds, and it just becomes untenable. Here, you've got good committees, good teams, good management of the teams, and it's just about giving them time. It's a small sport. It's competing against a lot of very popular sports, especially for us here in North Dublin. It's a big soccer area. It's a big GA area as well. And there's a little bit of rugby too. So there's a lot of sports you have to compete with to try and get these guys, never mind the athletes, just to capture people's attention. I think it's really important to have that ability for small teams to play, maybe have to forfeit a game here or two, but to be in there and just constantly turn over, just give them a chance. The next year, let's get 3 more players. Next year, let's get 3 more players. And all of a sudden, then you start growing and being able to, like you've seen with your work on the committee, and we saw it come into place this year where the Razorback and the Jets have been kind of promoted up once they saw that the numbers were looking healthy and the finances were looking good. So it's not only important to have our league, I feel like, the Division 2, but also to actively be probing and testing to try and get those teams into Division 1 or into a little bit of a wider, bigger pool where the difficulty maybe comes up a step, but then so does the enthusiasm and the encouragement, because you see the teams progressing as well. So I have to say, I think there's always plenty of voices about how a league should be run and who should be running the AFI and what they should or shouldn't be doing. But I don't think anyone can take away the structure that they brought. There was a lot of debate, but I think they landed on a great structure for this year and the years to come. And I think we're going to see a lot of teams grow. Hopefully we see a lot of new teams as well, because we haven't really had a fully formed new team for a while now.
No, that's true. The structure that they landed on, I think, really helps the teams that forfeited last year. Unfortunately, the Giants, due to a reschedule, had to forfeit a game through no fault of their own. But as you said, everybody else that made the step up to Division 1, the Jets and the Razorbacks, have done great work behind the scenes. It's a credit to both sets of committees. They've done some great recruitment. They've done some great social media work, and some really good coaching decisions from both teams. And Division 1 is not going to be as cut and dry as many people think. That's going to be another exciting division as well.
What about, more importantly,
that's good
Coach,
share.
what do you make of the, let's say, the beginnings of a rivalry starting to appear, where now all of a sudden you've got, as you said, I think you kind of alluded to it a little bit tongue-in-cheek, where the recruitment of some of these Northern Ireland teams implies some players switching from one team to the other as seasons go along, and how that can drive a bit of extra intensity maybe in these games. Do you see that becoming a thing? Have you got a challenger in mind for us? Have you got your eye on one particular team this season that you want to create a little bit of a rivalry, a little bit of a banter going on? Maybe Trinity, they are our literal in-house neighbours, our roommates.
Yeah. We're like the Giants and the Jets with them. Sorry, as in the New York Giants and the New York Jets playing at Meadowlands. No, but I wasn't really alluding to players transferring teams, because we've had that for years. Whether it's at SBC level, Division 1 or even Division 2, people want to play where, one, they'll feel appreciated, and not saying that they weren't appreciated at their previous clubs, but they may not have gotten the game time that they felt that they deserved, or they didn't believe in their scheme that they were in, or they just had other friends that made the trip and they said, do you know what? I just want to play football. I'll play with my friends up at this club instead.
Essentially, you're implying that they're all glory hunters, and that the only reason they're changing teams is to try and win more games and brag about it on social media. Is that, can we put that on the headlines tomorrow?
You can quote me on that. No, but in fairness, some of the recruitment that's gone on, let's call out the Razorbacks. It's like they're putting together their own little dream team up there with some of the signings that they've made, and the guys that have gone, the veteran, experienced guys that have gone and played with the Razorbacks for this season are quality, talented players. But then on the flip side of that, they have done some great recruitment outside, and their rookie class is looking great as well. So it's not just a case of glory hunting. These guys can see what these clubs and committees are doing, and they want to be a part of that. So especially in the Jets and the Razorbacks, and I know I'm calling them out, but I've had really good relationships with them in the past. Both of those programs have done really great work, especially the Razorbacks since Suntan has taken over there. Everything has been ramped up, from social media, their actual recruitment, their Super Bowl party and their puppy bowl. These are the things that engage people and entice them into the club. And I think we've done some great work this year from a social media point of view, thanks to that man right there in that corner. Our social media has completely ramped up since he's taken over, and it's shown on a Sunday at training. With the rookie class that we have, I think we're sitting at 9 or 10 rookies, brand new rookies, never played the sport before. And because, oh yeah, I saw your Instagram post, or I saw this, I saw your stories, somebody showed this to me, or I showed this to my friend, and they said they'd come down, and they have, and they've stayed, they've enjoyed it, they've loved it. And that's really what, as a club, especially after the season we had last year, it's what's really needed year in, year out. Like, the statistic is, for every one player you retain as a rookie, either from rookie camps or recruitment drives, you'll lose 9. So 1 in 10 players will stay. So if you can capture, as you said, 3 players each year, you're doing well, and maintain and retain the veteran players that you have year in, year out, you'll build a quality squad. But this year, with 9 or 10 rookies, plus 5 veteran players, experienced players that have joined the ranks as well. That's really putting us in a really healthy position to compete against what we would have classed as a more established squad. The likes of the Trinities, who have years of experience. Coach Drake has them well drilled, and they have a good coaching structure there as well. The guys up in Causeway, their new head coach coming with a wealth of experience from BAFA. And then our buddies down in Wexford, Coach Klatt, we all know what a gentleman he is, well drilled outfit down there. And the lads will bleed and give everything they have for that man. And I'm just looking forward to it. I can't wait.
Very diplomatic
Let's have a
answer
look.
there.
Thanks. That's all the years of my media experience coming through there.
That's looking at a career in politics after you've finished coaching.
Well, you'd be surprised how many people in work tell me that.
Let's actually have a focus then on the game on Sunday. Of course, Eagles at home. Only played them once before. This was before my time as well. This was, I think, was it the first year of the team?
The very first game was against the Eagles.
Very first game, yeah.
Down against Wexford. But we've played them in Malahide twice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We didn't play them away a second time. So I think it's three games against them at this point. But yeah, no, that first game where we travelled with 16, and I'd say that was some of the best football I've seen in that first half. And then it was like Bobby Boucher coming out at halftime when I suited up and took over when we kind of lost. Did we lose 2 QBs at that point? You were playing tight end at that point, weren't you, Rick?
In fact, that's the only game of my career that I missed. I was out with an ankle injury for the first game of the season, and I haven't missed a game since. So, touch wood.
Yeah, but unfortunately, injuries took their toll, and I think we had to forfeit in the fourth quarter. Yeah, Big Bear. He got an injury, and I had no other subs to put in. Me being a completely novice head coach, didn't realize I could have taken a time out, and he could have then played the next snap, and we could have potentially have finished the game. But hey, if a shoulda, woulda, coulda, all that jazz, But it was a really well fought game, and we got our first touchdown in our first game. Oisin with a lovely quick out and into the end zone he went. Hey, I think we left that field even though we've been beaten, and it wasn't too bad of a scoreline. I think it was mid-20s.
Yeah, my recollection is 22-8.
Yeah, something like that. And and every game we played that season, regardless of the score, everybody left with their head held high and huge big smiles on their faces, and that's great. Can we do it again later? And that's the kind of mentality we have at this club. Win, lose or draw. And we've drawn a couple. That 0-0 against the Bulldogs a couple of years ago. How many times were we inside that 20?
My first ever game, actually. That I remember. That was my day season.
Poor Cece.
I wasn't
he just could not drive it into that end zone. But hey, each game we play with a smile. We play with a confidence that regardless of the score, we'll come out. We'll have given everything, and just enjoy it. We're not a win at all cost team. Not saying that anybody in this league is, but damn, it's great fun to be out there.
Yeah, and looking at outside of the game, the bigger picture, the whole season. You mentioned the rookies that have come in. You meant the veteran players that have come in. What would be the expectations in your eyes now for this team this year? Are you
we're winning it
aiming
all,
for a
baby.
bowl game? Are you
Just win, baby.
winning it all?
No, after the season we had, this season was all about establishing ourselves back to pre-COVID levels of squad, levels of competition, and that kind of, not quality of play, but nailing the fundamentals, the basics, and building on that year in, year out. And I think we're in a position already, without having played a game, that we were prior to COVID and everything going the way it did. And from this current season to last season, it's night and day. Being able to have those numbers at training, being able to split into specific positional groups, being able to run 11-on-11 scrimmages just makes all the difference. And as a head coach, it makes things so much easier for me to plan with regards to training sessions. When you have those numbers, you're able then to work on so much throughout each session that you wouldn't have been able to if you had 12 or 13 guys, because you've got linemen running routes with the wide receivers, because you have 2 linemen and 8 receivers and 1 quarterback, But these are the things you need to do as a head coach, and think on the fly, just to make sure that you are getting the most out of each session that you run. So I think for us this year, we've done it so far. We've established ourselves to where we need to be. We've put in the work at in the preseason, and going forward, regardless of results, if we're competitive in these games, it'll be a really big step for the club. But as I said, from what I've seen at training, with the recruitment we've done, the buy-in from all of the players and the mentality of the players that we have on the squad, I think we'll compete. And as we said earlier, Division 2 is looking to be quite competitive. So for us to be in the mix, we can definitely have our eyes set on a bowl place at the end of the season.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, coach, is going to be betting in that the rookies, right? And we saw it in our first few seasons where, there's a lot of high scores on the other side of the pitch, but it's about getting those rookies in and how quickly, when they're forced to play a lot of football and kind of be out there and just see things over and over, like if some of the more experienced teams we played in those first years were really good, and they could kind of focus on what we couldn't defend, and you kind of see that same thing over and over, and it really does build in that memory and some kind of how would you say it, like a really steep learning curve, a really thrown into the fire for these rookies
sink or swim.
to really get an Yeah, exactly. To try and get a really understanding of how the game works. What can I do? How do I figure out what the other team is trying to do to us, either on the offense or the defensive side of the ball? So I think I know we're agreed on this, but I think that's going to be a big thing for us this year is as much as we can, stay competitive, stay playing good football, and get the rookies involved. We don't want them sitting on the bench getting in at special teams. We believe here of getting the rookies in, getting them blooded in, let them see what a real game feels like, real game speed, because there's no better way to learn, and there's nothing that kind of sharpens your instincts more than a Dara running down the field by accident trying to flatten a cornerback. That cornerback learns pretty quick. Just go around him. Don't try and go through him. Just go around him. It'll take you a while, but you'll get there eventually.
Eventually. But as you said, the rookie class that we have in are switched on, and they're asking the right questions. And they're not afraid to ask those questions, which is a huge thing as a head coach. Always be open for asking the questions, being coached. And I have to say, all of the guys that we have not even the rookies, even some of the experienced vets have been in touch asking for, well, how do I do this better? And that's great. Everybody is buying in and wants to improve. We don't have a team of NFL quality players. We have guys who
What are
are
you talking about?
privileged of playing. You're more
What?
CFL.
Please, I'm XFL if anything.
But yeah, so it as you said, it'll be a baptism of fire for the guys going up against somebody who's not in the same color jersey as them. And once they get that first hit, they'll either love it or they won't. And that's really it.
That's what I always say. The most difficult snap of your career is the first snap of your career, and it all gets easier from there. So once they get that under their belt, we have some scary talent in that rookie class who are going to cause some problems for some people throughout the year.
Yeah, I fully agree with that, because I think my first snap was Jake, who's now on our team, played with the Bulldogs on the offensive line, and he threw me on my ass on the first play.
Yeah.
And that was the sink or swim moment. That was do I really want to play this game? Well, I guess I stuck it out for a little longer.
Just a little bit.
Just a little
bit. Just a little bit. But yeah, that's really it. You know, once you get your feet wet, first couple of snaps, that's it. You're either hooked or you're not. And from the rookies that we've had down, you know, these boys have got some serious talent. And it's just going to be fun to watch. I'm just jealous that I can't be out there, which is...
That was going to be a question towards the end, so we'll ask it now. Is it for definite?
Yeah, it's for definite. Although I can still do a job.
65 years old, Darry. He's 65 years old. Surely he can't play.
He just told us
thank you very
watch
much.
American football in black and white.
Yeah.
Well, look,
there you
go.
Tom Brady can't stay retired. Why can't Coach Neville not stay retired, eh?
You can take that up with me, missus. Could you imagine?
I think Dara has more of a chance of talking his missus into playing than he does.
Well, she's more than welcome. Absolutely, she's more than welcome. We are an equal opportunity club. If we have any female listeners that are interested in playing, you are absolutely more than welcome to come down. There is always a position on the squad for anybody, regardless of gender, ability, size, height. Sure, we have Rhea at starting QB here, so anything's possible.
And that's not just, it's important to note that as well, because that's not just something we say. We've played against last season. We played against more than one, I believe 2 or 3 women were on the team. So it's not only possible, it's encouraged. And if you do show up, we'll do our absolute best to get you prepped, get you comfortable, slot you in, and make sure you're enjoying yourself and get you fully involved, fully immersed, because there's no different leagues, there's no separation. It's a unisex sport, it's a unisex league in Ireland. So if you are interested at all, come on down. Even if you want to just have a look 1 week, just dip your toe in the water. We'll absolutely accommodate that and try.
We'll put you through your paces. If you can make it through the warm up, Dareth can't even. You'll be way ahead of the curve. But
the only thing you have to do is you have to do on our team is. We don't have a beep test, we have a Dara test. If you can run 10 yards faster than Dara, then you get to stay. It's not particularly difficult, but we had to put a line somewhere and we chose that.
Hey, hold on a second. My 40 time at the weekend was quite reasonable, all right?
Hang on. I had the sundial out and it was still going.
I didn't say it was great. I
Let's
said
not
it was
talk
reasonable.
about 40 times. Let's not talk about 40 times.
But just to finish that point about women in sport, if any of your listeners are interested in playing in football, not necessarily contact, we do have the flag team that's going to be back up and running towards the end of the year from the summer, which is mixed as well. So if they're not interested in kitted but do like the sport, they're absolutely more than welcome to come down for flag as well. So we had 3 females when we played flag 3 years ago.
I think so. I think it was 2 at
Um,
least.
Head
Yeah,
coach
I
Phil,
think it was
do you
2.
remember?
Uh,
Oh, I don't actually, to be honest.
Too many concussions.
yeah, from flag.
Yeah.
They were
Oh, I do. Yes,
Yeah.
we did. We definitely have 2. I think we might have had 3. You're absolutely right.
yes, it
Yeah,
was
your memory's sharp.
Arroya.
Yeah.
Was it Amelia?
Something along those lines. Yeah, we won't.
Yes.
We won't put
Us
any
Mal-
false information out there.
Us Malloys are genetically predisposed to not remembering names, so yeah, there's no way he remembered.
Yeah, it's not a good time to have a huge rookie class. I have to tell you that much.
Well,
All named Luke as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Well, no, we have Luke, and we have reasonably sized Luke. Because he wouldn't allow me to call him Little Luke, so
Yeah.
we had to give him a decent nickname. But
Well,
they,
one
still
more-
won't, they still won't beat your nicknames from year 1, Riri and Fifi.
Mine stick around.
Yeah,
Rin
you have a
requested
decent
that
one.
nickname.
Yeah.
I did not accept mine. That was absolutely never used. I want to point that out. It was you
Was it
tried
not?
to get it to stick, and he couldn't. Not a single player on that team called me by that. Riri insisted to be called like that. We'll never really know why, but there you go. That was his.
It was
decision.
because coach couldn't fucking pronounce my name when I first showed up.
Ryan?
Ryan, Ryan,
Rin?
Rin.
Yeah.
Rin,
No,
yeah,
Riri,
so-
that'll do.
Yeah.
So we got
Well,
Cece
you're
out
not-
of it as well, and his name is Connor.
And the
Yeah, that's true.
elusive third Malloy Coco, he was around
yeah.
for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the journalist fourth didn't stick around, so he
No.
didn't get a nickname. So
He gave one out, Jake Woolshed.
yeah. Woolhead, not Woolshed.
Woodhead, like Danny, the running back. Yeah.
But hey,
Right, Coach, 2 more questions and then we're going to wrap it up. First of all, what, without giving too much away, obviously, what area of the team are you looking forward to most this season? And why is it defensive line?
I was waiting for that. You just, because of the conversations we've had over the course of the preseason, you've just been waiting for me to come on and say yes. But yes,
It's the only reason I brought you on today.
okay, that's fair enough. Our defense this year looks scary good, and I think the new defensive scheme really highlights the talent that we have on the defensive side of the ball. I think last year we had the pieces, but just not fitting correctly in the jigsaw. This year, with the new scheme, I think we're going to cause a lot of problems. And then yes, I will admit it, I'm really looking forward to what the D-line can do this year. But not you, because I know what you can do. It's these rookies.
Which is not a lot.
Oh, no. You plug up.
Can definitely get in the way. He can definitely get in the way.
Isn't that all you
No.
want for a defensive lineman?
Absolutely.
Just get in the way.
Get in the way. But, the rotation on the defensive line that we have going into this first game is scary good. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what the guys can do.
Yeah, as a quarterback, I 100% agree because I need to go up against them week in, week out of training, and it is a nightmare. So, yeah, looking forward to see what they can do against somebody else that's not me.
Exactly. And when you think about it, the amount of, even when we tell them no touching the quarterback, yet they're still there right in your face, not allowing you to do anything. It's just phenomenal what these guys can do.
Just let you know we're there. That's all. That's all.
We can see
And then
you.
finally, yeah. Well, look, I'm not the tallest guy. Sometimes he can't see me. I just have to let him know. Especially if you have me going up against Keith when he's all the way up there.
Absolutely.
Then finally, little quick prediction. I don't know if you know much about the other teams or not, but quick prediction: Division 2, Division 1, SBC. Who do you think is taking them this year? You don't have to be diplomatic about Division 2 either. You can say us, it's fine.
Okay. SBC, I think it's a toss-up between the Rebels and UCD, but I have the Rebels sneaking that one. Haven't heard much out of Belfast, which I don't know if that worries me as a Trojans fan, or if I'd be excited as a Trojans fan, because there's very little coming out from up there. So it's either going to be scary good or another rebuilding year. But again, they've done some good work up there. But for me, I can't look past the Rebels, and with the few additions that they've made this year, especially Evan Allen, another class player, transferred from the Panthers. He's a serious addition to that defensive front. Now, Division 1, that's up in the air as well. Like there's so many good teams. They're all on that level. You know, the Rhinos had a number of injuries sustained against the Trojans in their preseason friendly. The Vikings are a very young team, and they put up some good plays against a well-established Rhinos team. Then you've got the Crusaders really putting it up to the Vipers. Again, they've always been a really good high-scoring team and very fun to watch. And then you've got the Vipers are in a bit of a rebuild as well. Then you've got the Jets and the Razorbacks. So that's really a difficult one to call. If I'm sticking my neck out, I'm going to go Crusaders. And that's kind of really could be seen as quite controversial for quite a few. But I think the new coaching structure that they have, Robbie Ty has unretired yet again, and he's doing a job for them again. And, you know, with the talent that they have on both sides of the ball as well, they'll be a tough unit to beat this year. And then there's ourselves, the Eagles, Trinity, and the Giants. Any one of us could do the business. If it's not us, I think our opponents on Sunday, the Eagles, will be there or thereabouts. As I said earlier at the beginning of the show, Coach Klatt has a history of having very well organized and well drilled teams, and as I said, he's a gentleman. So you will go out there with half a leg hanging off, blood dripping down your face, just because he's asked you to. And that's the kind of mentality his players have when they go out on the field, and that's very tough to go up against. I know all my guys will do the exact same, so it'll be an Eagles Pirates Division 2 bowl game, with the Pirates coming out on top, obviously.
Boys, I'll ask you the same question actually before we wrap it up, because we never sort of really gave predictions for it. Rian, I'll start with you first. 3 divisions. Who you think are taking them?
I'll be honest with you, Dara. I don't know who's in the divisions. I know Division 2, and I know only Division 2. But yeah, look, I know who's at the top in division or in the Shamrock Bowl, just purely based on last season. I know the Rebels kept a lot of their players, and I know UCD kept a lot of their players. I'm going to go with UCD again. We saw a similar thing last season where the Rebels beat them in the regular season, but the UCD came back and beat them in the bowl game. So I'm predicting something similar there. I think I have to go along with Coach in terms of Division 1. The Kildare Crusaders look like a very strong unit this year. I was surprised when that scoreline went up against the the Vipers, and they really only let the Vipers into the game very late in that one. I think it was fourth quarter by the time they scored any points at all. So they were probably onto kind of their rookie class at that stage, or maybe some of their lesser experienced players. So yeah, they look like a really strong unit. And then of course from Division 2, I'm looking no further than the North Dublin Pirates.
Yeah, I think there's a team emerging here. Obviously, most of Ireland seems to have a pretty good power structure in their head at the moment. I'm actually going to go against the lads. I do agree that based on last year, and I think that the league is doing a brilliant job at the moment of making sure that the leagues and the scores and everything are very well publicized. There's ourselves doing it. There's a load of other shows doing it. I think that's going to be great for the sport and give a bit of continuity and context, and because it can be quite staggered from team to team. They don't always play every week. So to give that kind of continuity of a season, I do think in the end it's going to be UCD Rebels again this year. My mind might change as we see everybody kind of get a first round of games in, but I'm going to lean towards the Rebels. I think it was a close game against UCD for the most part, and they pulled out right at the end. I think the Rebels, if I remember right, they didn't have the best start last season, so having a good start this season is going to bode well for them. I think they're keeping the momentum going from the end of last season, so that's why I'm going to leave with them. On the Division 1, I'm going to go the same as the lads. We've played the Crusaders. They're a very good outfit. We've played the Vipers as well. I always held them to a very high standard. So seeing that score come in on the weekend definitely makes me lean towards the Crusaders. I will say I fancy the Razorbacks and the Jets to beat a Division 1 perennial team like one of the guys that were there last year. I think it's a very close division. I think there's plenty of wins for all the teams there. There's plenty to fight for. And again, in ours, we're obviously going to go to Pirates, and I think I'm going to lean with Coach as well. There's a lot of unknowns, but the reality is if the Wexford Eagles can get some of the players together that they had last year, keep their continuity going, keep a squad together, not necessarily as Coach said, it won't be a question of the players playing for Coach Platt, is can they keep enough healthy bodies in the game to be able to finish out some games. I think they've got a lot of experience that maybe some of the other teams, Trinity as well, but I want to see them make it all the way through a season with a consistent squad. So in second, I'm going to go with the Eagles as well for Division 2.
I just hope everyone has a good time.
I just hope everyone smiles.
Everyone just has fun. Is that what it is? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Fuck them, John.
Yeah. Shout out Adam. We're on to you.
Shout out Adam. Yeah.
Adam's fat ass.
Premier Division.
He's never on the show to defend himself anyway, so it's grand. Sorry there, go on. Give us your predictions. Now I'll give it a shite.
You know how you said you didn't think you're surprised I haven't fired you yet? You know it's coming, right?
Yeah. Go on then, hurry up. Watch this be the only bit that gets clipped and put up on the socials.
Well, here, look, listen, when you learn to edit videos, you can put your clips on, right? How about that? All right.
My
I'm trying to curveball in.
Money, Dara.
Oh, is it? Nothing?
Yeah. Well, this is it.
You gotta nurse that poor little hammy of yours. Is that what it is?
Live free, live happy.
Yeah. Right. Premier Division, throwing a curveball. I'm actually gonna go with the Trojans this year. I've kind of followed their off season. They were kind of getting stuff right towards the end of last season. They've had a good off season by the looks of it, and obviously it's hard to say without actually seeing them play a competitive game. I know they had that friendly against the Rhinos a couple of weeks ago, and they won that handily enough. Division 1, I'm going to go with the Vikings. They came very close last year, obviously losing in the bowl game against the Minotaurs. Like you said, they have a young squad. They have, obviously, being a college team, they have that nucleus of players coming in all the time wanting to play and stuff, and they can obviously keep the veterans. And then Division 2, yeah, I can't not say us, of course. I can't not say the Pirates have a chance. Obviously, all 4 teams have a chance. The Eagles being an unknown is interesting. Obviously, we'll know after Sunday how strong they are. Trinity as well, like you said, Fionn, I hope that they can keep a consistent roster throughout the whole season. and not like when it normally happens where it comes to exam time and then they sort of lose a lot of players, which we obviously don't want, considering I think we played them twice after the exams are finished. So let's
Last
hope
2
that
games.
doesn't happen. Yeah. So yeah, I think that, and obviously like the Giants are obviously going to be up there too, because they have got a good squad. They've got a new head coach though, which will probably take time to bed in his new scheme and stuff. So maybe it might take a little long. If that takes them out of contention, I don't know. But let's see. Obviously, we have them in the second game in a couple of weeks, so we'll find out how things are getting on there. But yeah, Trojans, Vikings, and us, even though I've mentioned every other team has a chance, but I'm just going to say us.
But you see, Dara, that's the thing with Division 2. All 4 teams make the playoffs. 1 plays 4, 2 plays 3. So any given Sunday, you could have the top 2 teams miss the final because they lost in the playoffs. And that's what's exciting about Division 2. It's not just, okay, we have only the 6 games. We actually have at least 7, if not an 8th game. And you could have the best record in the regular season and still miss the ball game. So that's exciting that it doesn't matter. You could go 0-6 and still make the ball game, which is crazy. And, it's going to be fun. That's all I can say.
I'm sure the AFI memes page would have a great time if someone went 0-6 and won the ball game on that
That'd
for
be fun.
sure. How are they getting promoted?
The AFI memes page would probably suggest we all go 0-6 and make the ball game.
I don't think that's actually mathematically possible, Mr.
It
Scientist.
doesn't matter. I think that's what they put their money on.
Right.
Coach, really appreciate the time you're taking to speak to us. I know you only want to speak to us that one time on a Sunday and you don't want to see our faces until the next Sunday. So we appreciate you,
No problem.
roughing it this, Tuesday evening to chat.
Yeah. Great to talk football with you guys. As I said, how long have you got? Because I could spend all day and all night talking football.
No. We're done now.
We're done? Good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
Right.
No.
But yeah, no. Thanks for having me
Fion's
on.
giving us the nudge there.
Yeah. Oh,
Where's
that book?
Fionn has...
There's a hard out.
He has his Oscars playlist there and music ready to play, just to kind of it's time. It's like, you're finished now. You're finished.
Yeah.
Time to go. But look, listen, that's where we're going to end this edition of the show. Again, thanks, Coach, so much for taking the time. Rian and Fionn as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Been a pleasure.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you more, Rian, than Fionn, especially on this week for this one, for sure. You will see us again next week. We'll have another show for you. Fionn might be on the show, might not be. We'll find out. If you are around the Santry area on Sunday, come down and watch the North Dublin Pirates play the Wexford Eagles at 1 p.m. in the Trinity Sports Ground in Santry. That's in Santry Lane, just past. I think was it the Aldi, isn't it? It's not Little, it's Aldi.
Aldi on the main road, yeah.
Just past the Aldi on the main road, you'll see us there. We'd be great to get as much support as we can as possible as we start our 2023 season. But until next time, that's all we have for you. So stay safe and we'll see you soon.